Good afternoon. Welcome to Radio Row, live from Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. I'm Roy Kessel for Sports Philanthropy Network, and we're very excited today to have with us Diahann Billings-Buford. Diahann is the CEO of Rise and longtime friend of Sports Philanthropy, so
yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so wonderful. Like I was just saying to you, I came in and just to see you all growing and developing, and some of the things that you talked about that were just vision becoming real, it's a beautiful moment.
Well, we really appreciate your support right from the beginning when we first met and got connected. You've been part of everything that we've done and part of our conferences and things like that. And now we're back live and in person, so we're excited to get Rise involved for this summer in Chicago. But tell us about what Rise has got going on here in New Orleans.
So we have a ton. We've been in here meaning in New Orleans and out and about in New Orleans for the past few months. We seek to go in and make a commitment and have an impact over time. So this week we have the culmination of one of our leadership programs that had not only college students but law students in it. And that has been over the course of a few months, and we're going to culminate at the NFL experience on the field on Thursday. Our Champions of Change, our fan activation is up. We've got a totally new activation activity. I can't wait for you and everyone else to come see it. It's even more interactive than before. So Champions of Change is up in NFL experience. We have a critical conversation that I think is really key, and it goes to some of the logo for this year's Super Bowl. And it goes to a conversation that many of the indigenous groups are having in the area, just about identity and sports and how that intersects and how that connects. And, Rise as usual, we want to have the conversations that are difficult, but our goal is to come out with action plans and ways for us to be unified, for sports to bring us together. So we're busy.
Well, you've always been busy creating amazing programs. For people that haven't had an opportunity to go attend NFL experience and see their exhibit, it's incredible. They do an amazing thing also at the Final Four, in the women's Final Four, some great activations. So wherever you are, Rise is usually there leading the charge on these issues. But talk a little bit about the crucial conversation, because to me that's one of the most impactful things. We all see lots of educational material. Yep. We see great content and things like that, but really when you have a chance to get people to sit down and open up and have some dialogue, that's what changes the world.
That's what changes the world. That's what helps people to grow their thoughts. So one of the things is, Rise, we always start at identity. Even though our mission is to educate and empower the sports community to eliminate racism, we start all our work thinking about identity, because often folks jump to race and we think you got to start with, who are you? How do you identify yourself? How do others identify you? What does that mean? What does race play what role does it play in your identity, and how might that be different from mine? And both are right? I don't get to tell you how you use race to define yourself, and you don't get to do that to me either. And so I think this year's critical conversation is so important because it goes back to that first thing we discussed, identity. As we talk about the symbols that are used and how they're used and who can use them, it all kind of goes back to who am I? Who gets to determine how things that define me can be used? Who gets to make decisions? And really, we need to have these conversations. And we may, at Rise, we're perfectly fine with folks coming out of conversations disagreeing. But our goal is that even if we come out disagreeing, I understand you more, and you understand me more, and maybe one of us has changed our minds.
And I think that's something that's missing so much in today's world is people's ability to listen to that other perspective.
Yep.
I don't need to change your mind, you don't need to change my mind, but I need to have respect and an understanding for your position and vice versa. Yep. And I feel like so frequently right now the world is polarized, like people will put things up and whatever form of social media you want, whether it's Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, people are just shutting down the other side. It's like, you're on the other side, I'm not even going to talk to you.
Right. And there may be areas, there may be lines. I always say, where's the line? There may be lines, Roy, where you and I disagree, and it is a problem that we disagree. But we can't even get there right now as a nation, right? There are so many lines that we disagree, and it's fine that we disagree. So let's get to the things where it's really problematic where we disagree, because I feel like it'll injure me or mine or goes to my core. We can't get to those because we're busy arguing about literally everything without listening to one another.
And I think one of the areas that's really hurtful is because we disagree, that might be the initial issue in which we're engaged, but there might be 22 other issues on which we agree.
Absolutely.
That we could collaborate, that we could change the world. So we're never going to agree on something.
Yep.
But why can't we collaborate on all of these other issues?
Right. And maybe there's something, right? There is a line. I think it's okay for folks to have a line. There could be something we fundamentally disagree on, and you could say, you know what, Diahann, I'm not sure if I can move forward with you if you feel that way about X. And I feel that's everyone's right, but I would like for us to make that a thoughtful decision rather than, I saw this post about you, I heard this word, and now we can no longer do anything together.
Well, and that's it, right? It's with everybody in our life, whether it's parents, siblings, friends, colleagues, right? We're never going to agree with everything, and we're very quick, as you said, to throw out that relationship instead of taking the good, right? There may be
See
bad,
if the good is enough. If the good is enough to overcome the bad, then we go with it.
But we all have friends where it's like, hey, I like this about the person, I really dislike that, but I can hang out with them and play softball, or I can watch a football game, or I can go to dinner. They don't have to be my closest friend in the world. I don't have to align on everything, but I need to be able to coexist, and we need to be able to collaborate instead of shutting out half of the world. That's what I really love about all of Rise's work and your mission. So tell us a little bit about what's going on now. You're here, Super Bowl week. You've given us a little bit of that backdrop, but let's talk big picture now. Next 3 years, what do you see on the horizon?
Next 3 years is amazing. I think something that I think is worth mentioning is this is Rise's 10th year. So 10th year in existence, we are officially becoming a public charity, transitioning from a private foundation. We have successfully completed that process with the IRS, if there is an IRS. So we successfully completed what's necessary for that process. And I think this is a big time of change in Rise's trajectory. You know, the organization is about to sit down and do what you say and come up with a new 3-year vision. And so what does that mean? And I think we're doing it at an interesting time. We're doing it at a time where I think the world needs even more forces helping us to unify, and the world needs even more forces requiring us to be honest. I think that's the challenging part about Rise, right? Like, we want unity, but we want unity with honesty. So we can unify, and we got to be real with one another too. So we've got a lot of work to do, and I think that we live in this time, in this world. It means we have a lot to do. One of the things I've said to my board is, as Rise thinks about the future, I want you to be thinking about what will you tell your grandchild you were doing during this time, because people are going to look back on this time in history. It is going to be studied. It is going to be analyzed. And what do you want to be able to say to your grandchildren? To me, that is what Rise should be doing.
Well, and I know I'm going to ask you to grab the card that you wrote out here for the Wall of Philanthropy. I'm going to have you stick it right up here next to this other one. And then tell us what that card says.
It's funny I said that. It's been on my mind. So my impact is for my grandchildren who are yet unborn, thank goodness. My children are 26 and 22, so I'm not in any rush to be a grandma yet. But I'm working for a world that's better for them. I want them to be able to thrive, and I want them to feel like they can fully contribute and add to society in ways that matter the most to them.
Well, Diahann, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Always love having this conversation.
Same.
Excited to get you involved with Sports Philanthropy World for this year. So thank you for making the time. For all of our viewers and listeners, this is Roy Kessel signing off from Radio Row at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Please remember to live generously. Thank you.
Take care. Awesome.